Hi, everyone. So this is chapter 4, choosing a speech topic and purpose. So really, this chapter is a nuts and bolts type of chapter. It is the how-to of public speaking. We will cover developing a topic, how to develop a topic, how to narrow your topic, and then how to go from topic to your thesis statement. And I know that it's very common for people to struggle with writing a thesis statement, and it is my hope and belief that if you've ever struggled with writing a thesis statement, that in the next few weeks you're going to get it, and this class is going to help you really look at writing a thesis statement in a very simplified, straightforward manner. So when you're developing a topic, you always want to think about how are you going to select a topic. So in this class, I'm going to give you guidelines for your topic. So your first introductory speech, your self-introductory speech is the Who Am I speech. So you've got the topic already, the general theme of it. So the questions you want to ask yourself, though, is what is the speaking situation? So the speaking situation is it is a self-introductory speech. You're going to have your audience here in front of you, and it's going to be a speech that is going to communicate more about who you are as a person, and it's also to serve as really a diagnostic type of tool to see what your speaking strengths are naturally and then the areas that you need improvement. Number 2 is what topics are interesting and relevant to me. So not only for this speech, but when you're thinking about your other speeches, you will be given guidelines and parameters, but then you have to ask yourself, what do I find interesting within these guidelines and parameters? What is something that's relevant to my life? What is something that I'm going to want to spend time researching, writing about, and then talking about? So those are some really important questions that you need to ask yourself, because if you're not interested, I promise your audience won't be interested. So you always want to choose a topic that you're interested in. And then finally, what topics will be interesting and relevant to your audience? So not only should your topic be interesting and relevant to you, but they should also be interesting and relevant to your audience. So you want to be thinking about who is my audience? And later in the semester, we'll talk about demographics, audience demographics, differences in age, differences in religion, differences in socioeconomic status. So all these differences within people groups, and then what you're talking about, how is that going to be relevant to their lives and interesting for them? So you need to find a way to try and connect. So those are some things that you want to think about, some questions that you want to ask yourself when you are selecting a topic. Something to keep in mind too is that all of your speeches, with the exception of the introductory speech, but the informative speech and the persuasive speech, you must get your topics approved by me. And I don't want any surprises. I've been teaching for 20 years. I don't like surprises when it comes to topics. So make sure that you get all of your speech topics approved. Now, moving on to brainstorming. You will probably spend more time thinking about what you want to talk about than you will researching it, writing it, practicing it, and delivering it. So that is a true statement. So one way to really jumpstart the brainstorming process, there's a couple of different ways to do it, and there are many other ways to do it, but your textbook talks about free association and concept mapping. So free association is a technique that was developed by Sigmund Freud, and that was to help his patients get unstuck. And the reason why he wanted to help his patients get unstuck was to overcome their shyness. So what you do is you begin with a single word and then continue with other words that follow. So this is really something that's fun to do with a group of people or in a classroom, but I'm going to try to recreate that type of experience, free association. So let's say I begin with a single word, dog. And then from dog, I might think of my 3 dogs, my golden retriever, my Pomeranian, my beagle mix. And from there, I might think about my cats. And I've got 5 cats too, so I am that crazy person. And then from 5 cats, I might think about lions. And then I might think about Africa. And then I might think about travel abroad. Then I might think about Europe, Greece. Then I might think about alternative medicine. And then I might think about wellness. So it's free association. So you just begin with a simple term or simple word, and then you just keep going, keep going, keep going. That works for some people. For other people, concept mapping can really work. So literally you take out, so if you're more of a visual person, you take out a sheet of paper, and then let's say at the very center of that paper, you might, like the example here on the screen, you write yoga. And then right in the center, I have yoga. And then from there, I'll draw a line and then I'll talk about chakras. And then from there, I might talk about the sacral chakra. And then from there, I might talk about pranayama. And from there, I might talk about asana. And then so you just create this concept map. And then you just spend 10, 15 minutes doing this. And then you will be able to generate some ideas of things that you would find interesting to talk about. And then go back and look at your topic ideas and then ask yourself the question, do I think my audience would be interested in this as well? So that's another thing to do. The other thing you can do is just plain old Google search, type in a concept or a word that you are interested in, and then see what comes up. And moving on to our next slide, narrowing your topic. So for all of your speeches, you will have to have a general purpose. For your introductory speech, it will just simply be to inform. Your goal is to educate your audience about who you are as a person. For your informative speech, your goal will be to inform as well. So that general purpose will just be to inform. For your persuasive speech, the general purpose will simply be to persuade. That is to convince your audience that X is true. And then finally, the third general purpose is to celebrate. And that is a speech that you might write to inspire or to entertain. If you were to give an after dinner speech, or if you were to make a cheers to the bride or groom at a wedding, that might be a speech to entertain/inspire. So those are celebratory types of speeches. And the general purpose of a speech really guides how you're going to approach your speech. And then finally, the specific purpose and thesis statement. So firstly, you have to have a general purpose, then a specific purpose, and then write your thesis statement. And it might be a working thesis statement, and that's okay. So a specific purpose is a single sentence that explains the specific goal of your speech topic. And a thesis, it's different than a thesis, although the thesis is taken in part from the specific purpose statement. A thesis is a single sentence that expresses the topic and purpose of the speech. It's the bottom line of your speech. So if you could summarize what your entire speech is about in one single sentence, that is your thesis statement. It's the bottom line of what you're talking about. So you have your topic, and that's going to be the focus of your speech. And I have an example here. So my topic is the health benefits of practicing yoga. I don't want to just have yoga because that's too broad. If I were to look at that, let's say you turned in an outline and your topic said yoga, I wouldn't know what you're going to focus on. So you need to make sure that you narrow the topic. So this particular topic is the health benefits of practicing yoga. It's very clear, very specific. The specific purpose statement is at the end of my speech, my audience will be able to describe the health benefits of practicing yoga. I've included my audience. I've included the behavioral objective, and that is we'll be able to describe. And I've included the central theme of my speech, and that is the health benefits of practicing yoga. So you have to include all those parts. You have to include your audience, you have to include your behavioral objective, and you have to include the theme of your speech. And then the thesis is taken from the specific purpose statement. So once you have your general purpose and your specific purpose, now you're able to really formulate how you're going to approach your thesis statement and ultimately your speech. So the thesis statement is something along the lines of, from increasing physical strength to mental clarity, the practice of yoga has many health benefits, period. Bottom line. So that thesis was taken directly from my specific purpose statement. And although the main ideas are not on this slide, you could create main ideas from this thesis statement. One main idea could be something along the lines of, there are different ways that practicing yoga can increase your physical strength. Second main idea could be something along the lines of, there are different ways that the practice of yoga can increase your mental clarity. And then the third main idea could be something like, there are many different approaches to breathing through the practice of yoga that can increase health benefits, period. Each of those main ideas support that thesis statement. That thesis statement supports the specific purpose statement, and the specific purpose statement supports the topic. So I hope that this helps to simplify how to narrow your topic, how to brainstorm some ideas about what might be a good topic for you and for your audience, and then how to write your specific purpose and thesis statement.